Okay. Since I've had quite a few of you ask me to do this video, I'm going to go ahead and jump in here. And this is, what I'm going to do is describe the whole Satan, Jehovah God, how that whole thing, angels, all that stuff plays out. But first I want to give you an analogy. Let's say, you know how, and I know that you've all done this, maybe not with a flower, but you'll know what I'm describing. You know, I want to get you to think about, you go into a garden, you find a beautiful rose bush, you find a beautiful rose that you really, 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 really like, and I want you to imagine yourself sitting down in front of that rose bush and putting your face right up next to it, as close as you can get and still see the rose. And then you're going to take all of your intention, all of your time, all of your energy, and I want you to focus on every tiny aspect of that rose. I want you to see the veins in it, you know. I want you to be able to smell all of it. I want you to be able to see the dust on the, I think it's called stamens, that are on the roses. I want you to focus so hard on that rose that everything around it disappears. You don't even know that it's there. It all goes to black around the edges. Okay. That is what you are doing when you focus all of your energy down in 3D Earth. You are doing that. It's not that everything around that rose has disappeared. It is not. It's just that all of your focus is so focused, all the focus is focused on that rose to such an extent that you cannot see or experience or remember that rose is actually on a bush. Now, when I died, and I'm going to say the word pull back, even though there's no such thing as pulling back or forward or side to side, or it took time or not, but I'm going to use terms like that in this description because you are operating from time space and it's the only words that we've got. So when I pulled back, let's say floating above my body, that was the equivalent of pulling back and seeing the rose and the rose bush. Now people do that. They pull back just that far and they see the rose bush, or even just a part of the rose bush, the front part of the rose bush. Then they go back to their body and they've got, oh well, I saw this or that, and it was what the other side is like. That's what the other side is. I know because I died. And it is from that perspective. But then you can pull back even further, and now you notice the rose bush, and the garden. And people do that, and they die, and they go back, and they go, okay, this is what it's like on the other side. And it is. But it's also more than that. But from the perspective that they pulled back to, that is what the other side is. Well, I pulled back and saw the rose bush, the garden, the town, the city, the state, the nation, the planet, the solar system, the universe, the multiverse, all the different layers, and the whole what I call this creation, which is all of it. And then I pulled back even further, and I saw even as in stars in the sky, so many different creations like this creations. So in other words, I pulled way back there. Okay? So as I was pulling back, and in the process I pulled back, and then I've told people it felt like I was gone for decades, but that was because I didn't think that they would comprehend or understand that what it felt like really was closer to hundreds of years that I was on the other side. So I did a lot of pulling back and looking around. So I did pull back enough to, and in that process, of course, I got to talk to, so to speak, interact with a lot of different beings. Well, I pulled back really far, and then kind of I went back in and back and forth and back and forth and around and so forth. So I was able to, when I was pulling back, I was able to see, and of course on the other side there's no such thing as time-space. So I was able to see the creation of the planet, and the planet from the perspective of the planet wasn't there anymore or blew up. From another perspective, of course, it was just the planet continuing on its course and changing vibrations all the way out for the whole creation. So this is how it is. There is a being, and I'm going to call him a him, because to me he was more energetically what is considered here masculine energies, whereas the entity that is the planet Earth, to me it feels more feminine energies. Not that they're male or female, because of course that's that's just in this creation that has happened. So this is how it works. Okay, I'm gonna call him the creator. There's the creator, and he's no different than you or me. And you all have done this. You all have done this too. You have created all kinds of things, creations that are just as big as this creation is. And this is how it happens. Is the creator had this idea, and he said, well, what if we divided the energies, these waves, these vibrations that are out there, what if we divided them into, okay, the darker, and again, I'm going to be using human words when they're the closest thing that we've got. So I'm going to keep this as simple as I can, but understand that it's way more complex than this, and these are just simply simple human words that I'm using to describe things that are outside of human knowingness or of human language even. So let's say he said, okay, well, what if I create this creation, and the basic concept is I'm going to divide these vibrations over here and over here, and on one side we're going to call them the light, over here we're going to call them the dark. And then he thought to himself, okay, that's a cool idea, so I'm going to do that. But in order to do that, I want to keep my eye on the light side. And then he came up with that he wanted to kind of create this, because in unity, in all it is, the light and the dark are absolutely together. So it's going to pull them apart, and then he's going to kind of start fractaling or mashing them back together again. In order to create this new design, this new concept, then he was going to kind of anchor the light side. And then he needed somebody, another entity, to kind of anchor the dark side. So he went to the pub with his friends, like I call my pub friends, and he said, hey, this is what I'm going to do, this is my idea, and I need somebody to volunteer to kind of anchor the dark side. Well, everybody knows that the energies and the vibrations he was talking about, the dark side was going to be challenging. And so there wasn't a whole bunch of people jumping up and down and going, okay, we'll do this. But there was his best friend, who, what you would consider best friend. And this is who most people consider or call Lucifer. And Lucifer volunteered, and he said, okay, well, I will do that. I'll anchor the dark side. And so the creator went, cool, Jewel, let's go do this thing. So they did all that, and they created way more than just the earth. Now in the process, when it all got started, of this creation of this light-dark process, of this whole big shebang thing that you see, and all the levels and layers and the knowingness, well, when this all started, what happens is when a creator starts a new, I'm going to say game, when they start a new creation game, then there'll be other entities that go, whoa, what's going on over there? And they'll go, oh, well, I want to come play. And of course, everybody is welcome. So these other creators come in and they give their input and they give their suggestions and ideas. Well, what if we did this? And what if we did that? And all of that. And then it starts growing and growing and growing like that. That's how it grows. And so all the creators that come to play also give energy to the creation, and it grows hugely. Which is the reason why the creator would never want you to say, call him God, big G, like that. Because he's no different than you are. And this creation is more than just his initial idea. There are a lot of entities, there are a lot of beings that came to play and gave their input and their energy, and you do too. Every moment of every day you're involved in this creation process. You are just as important as his initial idea. Now we're going to go down to, now there's a lot of creation go on, and now we're going to go down to what you call 3D. And 3D on planet Earth, what happened basically is there had been a lot of planets and solar systems and such that were created along the ways where certain vibrations were on this planet. Kind of think of vibrations as feelings or emotions. So it was like Vulcan. Like they had very limited emotional range. And this happened with all the different emotions and all the different combinations, and whoosh there. A lot of data coming in all at once here that I have to sort out. So all of these different emotions were kind of put different places and played with, and then it got to Earth, and on Earth also the division. Let's back up. So all the emotions were put on Earth. So all of the different vibrations are available to creator entities on this planet as a 3D human. Now what also happened was there was kind of this, okay, first the light and the dark were pretty far away, and then they got closer and closer, so they were together. There were the two sides in the big O space that is all of this creation, which is huge, but it is a piece of sand compared to all the rest of the creations. So they were in two different places, and they said, okay, we'll make this short. We're going to put light and dark in the same universe. Okay, then they played with that for a while. Okay, now we're going to put light and dark in the same solar system. And they played with that for a while. And then, okay, we're going to put light and dark on the same planet. Okay, I played with that for a while. And this was all complex in all different ways, right? So then they got to Earth, where light and dark is in each person, each individual. And you know that. You know that there is the dark side to you and there's the light side to you. So that's all a fractally down type situation, and it goes even further, but for our conversation, that's as far as it needs to go. And so on planet Earth, there is all the vibrations available, plus light and dark is down and is available in yourself as an individual person, in the family, in the cities, in the state, on the continents, on the planet. Okay, so, and as we go back up, then it'll go the opposite direction. Now down here, with all of these emotions and with all of these energetic vibrations available, then the creators that are playing this game, then they can create new things too. So with energy, well, you can do it yourself with a thought, but for the sake of argument, let's talk about Jehovah God. Well, there have been, that idea was started a long time ago, of this single God, this monotheistic God, and really just about all the energies that are from the Jewish religion, the Christian religion, the Catholic religion, and the Muslim religion, all of those belief systems are really the energy from people go to one being. And over time, this being has been created, and of course there was an entity that agreed to come play the role of that being. And that being is what most people call Jehovah, although I don't know if the Muslims would agree that it was the same being, but nonetheless, all of the energy from all of those religions go to that being called Jehovah. Now, that being called Jehovah, I did go talk to. I did say I want to go talk to him because my father is a Church of Christ preacher. So I was raised with the Christian religion, and it is a pretty hardline Christian religion as they go in as Christian religions go. So after running around all over the place, I had not experienced or seen him, so I specifically asked, and popped up, of course, right in front of him. And he was very much like the pictures show, but of course he would be, because he was created by the energy from all of these Creator God humans. There's been a lot of energy sent to this guy. And it was interesting because in sitting in front of me, he's definitely on a throne with long white hair and robes and a long beard. And as I was communicating to him, and I would think thoughts, because most of it was done via, telepathy, not verbally, and I would think things about people who believed that Jesus was a dark-skinned guy from the Middle East. He would have been tan, darker tan. And I remember thinking those thoughts, and so in front of me, the being that was in front of me would go from Caucasian to more looking Middle Eastern, and then back to Caucasian and Middle Eastern and Caucasian, Middle Eastern. So clearly there's energies from both sides being sent to him that visualize his actual form as being both light-skinned and darker-skinned. So I did talk to him. He is pretty much I was from a very strict family, and I learned to read by reading the Bible. And I was a part of daily, weekly, part of regimen in my household the whole time I was growing up was to memorize scripture. So I am very well versed in the Bible. And in my 20s, I also read quite a few of the other major religions' holy books. So I'm pretty familiar with just about all of the major religions and their holy, at least their main books. Maybe not all of their books, about all of the commentaries on, well, what does this holy book mean? Because there's, probably millions of books on all of those things. But I'm pretty well versed in the Bible, so I had questions about the Bible, and especially the Old Testament, but definitely the Bible in general, because there were some things that were disturbing to me. And this entity definitely believes that he was the creator, that he created all things, and he would believe that because he was created believing that. But he really is in a rather obscure higher level of 4D. That's where this being is. And the reason why I was kind of putting off doing this video is it is not my desire to interfere with anyone's religious path. If it works for you, then I want you to stay on it and just, say whatever you want to, and move on. It is not my desire to interfere with anyone's path at all. But I was asked so many times, so I'm going to continue with this. So that's where Jehovah God is. Now, kind of working under Jehovah God are a bunch of angels. Probably the biggest, easiest ones to locate were Gabriel and Michael, because they have been given a great deal of energy. So that's where they are. But by the same token, an entity or entities that are above 5D, they will also let you call them whatever you want. So if you are talking to something or some entity and you think that that's your idea of the angel Michael, then they'll say, sure, that's what you can name me, because we don't really have names up there. So, but they understand that you need to identify them with some name, so they'll let you. So when you're dealing with entities, you have to really discern who it is you're talking to, because if you want to go to 5D and up, you don't want to be messing with 4D entities at all. And really, the simplest way of finding out who's who is if an entity thinks that you need to, that you're not good enough, that you're a sinner, that you need their help in some way, they're 4D. Easy. They're 4D. If an entity refuses, insists that you are a creator God, that you can do this yourself, that you will help, they will help you, but they're not going to do it for you, well then that's above, it's probably above 5D. Could be way above 5D. Okay? That's the difference between the two. So there's a lot of angels in that arena. There's also a lot of ascended masters that are in that area, in that vibratory level. And these guys are going to be over, whenever in the 4D, that huge 4D that I was talking about, they will be way over to the side. So if you think, okay, we're going to have to use, if you think extreme service to other side, then those guys will be over there to extreme service to other side. That's where a lot of these beings are. And then on the other side, the extreme service to self side, is the entity at the top of the rung that most people know as Satan. And Satan and Lucifer are not the same entity at all. Now, if you don't like the word Lucifer, then